But right along with our charters being done, the next area that we should be looking at, if we haven't already, is our Journey to Excellence. Journey to Excellence is a program with National that kind of helps give you an idea of steps to take for strong units. If you follow the Journey to Excellence plan, it really sets up a working plan for packs, troops, and crews that can help you to be one of the best units around. And it covers things like solid finances, solid membership, great retention, good program, um, no lack of leadership as it's being followed along in there. And we're going to look at the different aspects of it here and uh, see what it's about, talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to go through each one, but I will send them to you um, because it just doesn't help to cover each one. They're all very similar on things. Each one has their own specifics to it, but they do have their own requirements for it. Now, we're at the point now where it's a checklist, right? We're checking to see how we did for last program year, and that's how you're setting this up. Is you turn in at the end of the program year of, hey, we've done all these things, and we're a bronze, silver, or gold. And a bronze is a good unit. Gold is, or a silver is a great unit, and gold is you couldn't be doing better if you tried. Just great program on there, and you should be happy to advertise the fact, on your Be a Scout pin put on there that we are a gold rated Journey to Excellence units. That's a national gold rating for your unit. Even bronze, we're nationally rated as a bronze unit. Um, on your flyers and brochures, put that on there. If you have a Facebook, put it up on there. Recognize yourself for the work that you do in having a quality program and quality program for your scouts. And the requirements are not that hard to meet, but they give us a great thing. And I'm also going to give you this program year's one. So the ones that come up at the end of the charter period for 2024. So that way, if you haven't started looking at these as part of your plan for this year, I'd strongly encourage you to incorporate that. So let me bring up the first one here. So I'm going to increase the size of this a little bit so we can see a little bit better on it. And like I said, I'm going to throw all this into the chat room momentarily. All right. So a little bit bigger for my older eyes. All right. So we look at this as the Cub Scout 2023 one, right? You fill in this here, and there's three different things that come with this, and we'll briefly go over them, but they're all broken up into the four main program areas of scouting. So, in this first one is the planning and budget. So, the most basics of this is that you have an annual plan that you did at your program planning conference, and this is all the way across the board, and that you worked on a budget, right? And the bronze level is that you created a pack calendar and that you did a budget, and then the rest of it is how well you kind of followed on that and incorporated it. Then we get into membership and building, and they're all building the program, which is what you're doing for recruitment. So this is having whether you're doing the back to schools and going to those events, you're doing a membership drive, you have your unit open house going on. Um, what activities are you doing that you're actively planning on bringing scouts into your unit? That's our building our program. And then how you go about doing those is where our bronze, silver, and gold go into this. Retention is a part of this as well, right? It's great to bring the scouts in, but we also want to keep the scouts that are in. And that's what your retention number is. Your retention is last year I had this many scouts at the when I rechartered at the end of the year. So what you just finished up now, I had this many that stayed. Divide that on out. That's your retention percentage. And I've got a formula thing all set up that I'll just plug in some numbers and you're great with this. Um, and then in Cub Scouting, we have the Scouts to BSA transition. So how many of your Cub Scouts went over to a troop, right? Because during recharter time, we should be, or at some point during this, we saw that transition during your time area, during this. If you didn't already do your crossovers and you did them during the 23 time. So advancement, how many of your Cub Scouts have earned different things? So in the troops, yes. Yep. So it says, does the formula take into account AL scouts that aged out? Yep. You actually incorporate that into the formula in there. It has, I'll bring one up to show to you, but yeah, it's like we started with this, we had this, these crossed over. So they're not counted against you on retention. So yes. And that's only unique to Cub Scouts. In Scouts BSA, it doesn't have anything about them doing crossovers because there is no crossover. So in the advancement, so you'll see in Cub Scouts, it's talking about earning the Bobcat and how many of them do adventures, right? Because everybody advances in recruitment, right? Every year, June 1st, every Cub Scout moves to the next rank. Doesn't matter if they did all their requirements or not, right? Every lion became a tiger. Every tiger, bear, wolf, wolf, bear, Weeblo, AOL. This requirement area is changing with the 24 ones based on the new stuff that's coming out in the Cub program. So you'll see a little bit of that in there, but realize that's changing. In scouting, Scouts BSA, it's still talking about advancement on ranks and or merit badges, depending on the levels. Activities, again, we still have those. How many activities are you planning on and that you do? And certain types, like in the Cub Scout one, you'll see in the gold area, it's talking about the Pinewood Derby or Raft Regattas. On outdoor activities, that you're trained, you're doing them, and participating in accordance with the BSA program, of course. And the BSA, the Troop Scouts BSA has that as well. Service projects, yep, that you have them in there, and the time that's on here. Now, that's a number. Well, I should say the activities and the service projects are ones that you can easily get from your internet advancement. You log in, and we've covered this on past roundtables and some specific trainings, but in internet advancement now, you log your hiking hours, camping hours, and service hours. And the reports that give you these, whether it's an OA eligibility report, you're looking for specific scout service hours, camping hours, hiking hours for advancement, or you're looking for just the overall or the average. These are all reports that are already built into internet advancement that you can print out and run and get these numbers for, so you can fill them in right from there. So you don't have to do any kind of separate tracking as long as you're logging it. If you're not logging it, then you got to have some type of tracking for this. And that's, again, across the board. We get into the Cub Scout program, or I'm talking about the volunteer leadership now. Now we have the volunteer opportunities, and this is that we're looking for leaders to come in, right? We've got our key three, and we're planning on recruitment of these adults. The families that are coming in, we're looking at recruiting them into adult leaders. Starting work on getting them trained, right? Then we had our trained leadership at the next one down. These kind of go hand in hand, along with the succession planning. Like, who is taking over? Do we have a plan for those people to take over those areas so that the den leader who's moving on to Scouts BSA next year, we already have somebody taken to the plan that's going to be going in there. That's a succession planning. Or we know the Cub Master is leaving. Who's going to be the next one? The Scout Master is leaving. Who's going to be the next one? That's our succession planning. So as you go through all this, you're self-reporting your scores at 25, 50, 100. In there, you do the total, number of the objectives with the points, finish it out there. And, pack is completed, rechartering by the deadline. We certify these requirements have been completed. Cub Master or Scout Master, right, for the troop, committee chair, and then your unit commissioner, your district commissioner, if you don't have one, or myself. We come into the back page, or page 2 of this. It really breaks out that explanation a little bit more. So if you weren't sure on one of these things, or you forgot what I may have said, or forgot, or you can't read it, it's on the back of this, right? Or page 2 has a better breakout of the explanation on here, what each of those measures are. So that's one of the tools that's there. The other one is a guidebook. Maybe. Guidebook.
Okay. Sorry, I'll mute myself.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get this. Try that version of it. Okay, so a guidebook for this. So the guidebook on here, and this is specific to the packs. And again, troop and crew, and I'll send these all out through the chat. So as we get here, it's how do we use the guidebook? Well, The nice thing is right in the beginning of this, and I love this part, is there is a lot of training helps. Hopefully, you've all taken position specific training. And a lot of these modules should have been incorporated into your specific training. However, you could forget, it's been a while. It actually shows you what module in training this was under. So you can always go back into Scouting U and just retake a module that you're interested in and have that covered, which is great because if you're the person running the program planning meeting that you're having, you might want to review this and the associated resources because that actually has our downloadable resource that goes with it. Same thing with the PAC and DEN meetings. There was a DEN meeting planning worksheet that was there. There was a PAC meeting planning worksheet that was there. So there's a lot of good information on here, and that's the training specific to the areas that are part of Journey to Excellence. So, and then they kind of get into the leader training and how it's extensively discussed in here. But here's kind of like your worksheet. So you didn't want to have that one sheet going overall. Who's responsible for tracking or helping implement these areas? So you can see they kind of shortened it down a little bit, right? Again, not looking at the major description on here because you've already looked at the sheet. This is just a worksheet to go off of. So who's responsible for tracking it or maintaining the tracking? Was there certain things we needed to record, like training awards or start dates or whatnot? And then what was our goal? Page intent to left blank. There's another version of it again of those areas. The explanations again. And this is an area that it lets you put in the data. Now, this is an editable PDF. So you fill it in, it'll actually figure the stuff out for you. You can start seeing with the transition plans where it has like the 0%, the fault is because there's no numbers in there, right? I'm also going to send this to you on an Excel spreadsheet, which is just these pages right here, where if you don't have, if you're not going to the PDF and using that, you can, or the PDF writable isn't working for you, you can do it on the Excel and do it on in there, and of course, then those zeros get filled in, and then you could be good for there. And at the end is it's just what is the journey to excellence and um how you can get help and the resources that are available for you and incorporating it into the plans of your unit. So again, I would strongly encourage and just giving you some more information on some specific ones. Like there's leader and training objectives 10 and 11, right? And it's talking about the trained leaders, youth protection, what it takes to be considered trained. So it's giving you a little more information. I mean, this goes on for 32 pages, so I'm not going through all of them, but it's a very handy and helpful guidebook that's on there. So to give you the next idea of this, we're going to take a quick look at troops, and then I'm going to start sending some stuff out in a second here. But we're going to look at the 23 scorecard for troops. I just want to show you it's pertinent to their program, but not massively different. So you can see very first one is planning and budget. It's still there. Building the program. So this is your recruitment plan. What's your retention plan? Wheels of Scout transition is here. It's just, did you have work with the PAC about Cub Scouts coming into your program, right? Because they've all got to go somewhere. And, where some people think of, well, this PAC always comes into my troop. Well, that's not true. That may be historical where a lot of them have, doesn't mean they all go into there. Sometimes it's just a bad meeting night. It's a bad location. This is why we want the Cub Scouts to go to different units to see what works best for them. We don't want some scout that, they meet on my PAC always goes to troop ABC. They only meet on Tuesdays and we cannot just do Tuesday nights. It's the only night we can't do. Well, we don't want that scout to not have scouting because of that. That's why we want them to look at other units and find one. And we as leaders want to encourage them to look for other units to find one that's good for them. Sometimes it's not the meeting night. Sometimes it's the unit, right? We have some units that are larger and that's great. They've got a lot of resources, a lot of people involved, a lot of other scouts that are there. But sometimes that's rough on a scout. Sometimes they need a smaller group, not so loud. So they need a smaller unit where it can come in. And I see that question. I'll get right back to it. And then we want them to be able to go to that smaller unit where maybe they need the quieter, I guess I'll call it, atmosphere. the same time, we don't want to scout thinking, oh, that's a small unit. They're not going to be able to do a lot. Um, Thinking that they can't go to that large unit. We want scouts to go what is best for them and their family, not because all of our scouts always go there. There should never ever be an answer we give to a family. We should never ever say all of our kids go here. Absolutely not. The answer should always be you should go to the unit that's best for you and your family. So to answer your question came up: does the Boy Scout retention take into account the youth who turned 18 in a scouting year? No, they weren't retained. They turned 18. They're no longer part of the program. So that takes it does decrease it a little bit on there. You don't usually have too many in a year that has shouldn't have a significant impact. This is why we should always be recruiting and bringing kids in. So the 18 aging out during a program year, yeah, they're not counted as retained because they weren't. They aged out or they left the program. The only ones who won't have an impact is the ones who go from Cub Scouts to Scouts BSA because they stayed with the program, just in a different program area. Uh, so the Weevils, I covered the Weevils Scout transition. Whoops, sorry, moved a little fast. So advancement. So just for example, on the Scouts BSA one, 40% will advance one rank during the year. We start moving along that line now. Here's the thing: you'll read that later on in advancement, right? Again, this is part of ongoing recruitment. You're always going to have the people listen. I can't. Some of my kids, they can't advance, right? They're working on all their merit badges. They've got their 6 months in. This is why we should be having ongoing current recruitment. That scouts are always coming in. If we're stuck at nothing but, I'm just going to say Star Scouts, just to pick. If we're a troop full of Star Scouts, what's what a lasting impact are we having on our unit? They are going to age out or rank out at some point. Not that scouting ends just because they turn Eagle. We just know a lot of scouts stop doing things when they become Eagle. That's why we should have ongoing recruitment going in, bringing more scouts in. We don't want a unit to fold and disappear because all the only scouts we have are the 4 or 5 stars, and boom, they're as soon as they all hit Eagle or they're done, we've lost a whole unit. We should always have a recruitment going on. Where in Cub Scouts they had it broken out to the outdoor program, they have short-term and long-term camping. So we're looking at the campouts, both our weekenders and our summer camp or high adventure camps. Service projects are still there, and we see in this one they incorporate the patrol method into this one as well, that they're actually using a patrol method. And our PLCs, Patrol Leaders Councils meetings. And we can look in the volunteer leadership and engagement in our trained leadership. Again, we have people in prime positions. We're looking at the succession planning, that we're always looking at bringing new people in, and that we're getting people trained in the areas that they need to be in. It's great to have a scoutmaster, not so good if they're not trained. One of the best analogies I can give you is you put your kid on a school bus. Do you want that bus driver trained or not? Well, you should want your scoutmaster, assistant scoutmaster, committee members. You should want them to be trained in their job. You should, as a unit, require that they be trained in their job. I don't want to put my kid on a bus that doesn't have a trained bus driver. Why would you want to put yours into a program with a leader who refuses to take training? There is always something new to learn and something to get there. I've been doing a scouting a long time, and I can tell you right now, I do not know it all. So there's a lot in there for that one. So, you give me just a second here. I am going to throw some of this stuff into the chat. Now, the other area you can find this in. So for some, whoops, hit the wrong button. So for some reason, this chat or this doesn't work for you. You can't get it off of there. You'll see this showing up in the your chat window. This will show up as a section in there. If for some reason this doesn't show up, then you can always just go to Google. My biggest fan, right? Google runs the world. And you can search Scouting Journey to Excellence or Scouting JTE. It will bring you up the website. The way they design this is to kind of always stick. Once you know what the standards are, they kind of stay the standards. They really don't vary all that much that's in there. They're designed to be like that, and it works out well. Now, like I said, the Cub Scout one is changing. The way that the advancement is going to go for next year, this year, starting in June, is changing the Cub Scout program. So our next program year, Cub Scouts is having a significant change with it. So you'll want to kind of be on top of it for that, so that you're incorporating this stuff into there, and they're already putting it into the 2024 Journey to Excellence stuff. So great time to start planning on that. Any questions, comments, concerns about Journey to Excellence?